This is also big. There was a 7.2 earthquake in Taiwan yesterday, and there was like skyscrapers collapsing, widespread power outages and internet outages in Taiwan. The death toll is not very high right now. I believe it's like 4 or 5, but they will slowly uncover. I mean, I guarantee you that death toll will be very high. There were 30 Chinese warplanes and 9 Navy vessels detected around Taiwan after the earthquake. Like I said, there was widespread internet and power outages in Taiwan from this earthquake. Will China capitalize on this to finally invade Taiwan? It's the perfect opportunity for them to. Apparently, Xi Jinping told Biden on the phone in his phone call yesterday that Taiwan is a red line for China. Obviously, we've known this, but literally the day before the earthquake, Xi Jinping has made it known to Biden where his red line is. If you support China, that is a red line. You are involved in this conflict too. And we know China has been preparing for an invasion of Taiwan for years now, but this would be quite the opportunity for them to finally capitalize and do it. And considering what's going on in the Middle East, will they wait to see what Iran does and see how involved the U.S. gets in the Middle East to finally invade? But that's not a coincidence that there's 30 Chinese warplanes and 9 Navy vessels heading towards Taiwan and detected around Taiwan after the earthquake happened. That they're realizing that this is an opportunity. They could capitalize on it if they so choose, especially with the widespread power outages and internet outages in Taiwan. I mean, they're kind of a sitting duck right now for China to attack them. I think what China needs to figure out is how much will the U.S. respond? Do they have so much interest in the Middle East and with Ukraine, obviously, where the United States can't afford to defend Taiwan, or will they just blindly do it because they feel like they have to? It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how China goes about this because, like I said, the situation in the Middle East, they have to really know how much the U.S. is going to have invested interest in the Middle East before responding because they don't know how the U.S. will divide out there's only so much money and so much weapons the U.S. has. I know that we're the strongest military in the world and that Biden likes to tout that we can do whatever we want. We're the U.S. We can have interest in Ukraine. We can have interest in the Middle East, and we can also defend Taiwan. That's not the case. There's limited resources for everybody, and we've already spent hundreds of trillions in Ukraine, let alone what we spent in the Middle East to help Israel. So our resources are limited, and the war in Ukraine is bankrupting us. But also you have to look, who knows, does China have an attack on the U.S. planned? I mean, look what happened with the bridge in Baltimore. And I talked about this last episode. It's looking more and more like China was involved in that, considering the U.S.'s random move to have a de-escalation attempt with China with a phone call with Biden and then scheduling trips to China with Secretary Blinken and Secretary of the Treasury Yellen to go to China. The timing seems just interesting, and there was that exclusive intel report that claims that China was involved using their remote towing technology. And there's other instances that could have been potentially Chinese cyber attacks. Obviously, the U.S. government is not going to tell us that. But obviously, China has been testing its systems, its cyber attack skills on us and on our infrastructure systems and on our plants, our power plants. So do they have an attack in the works on the U.S.? And, with this earthquake in Taiwan, they may start that process to start the attack on U.S. so they can't respond to help Taiwan. And Taiwan's going to have this issue. I mean, they're not going to get power or internet back on a large scale in the country for a while. So they're like I said, they're a sitting duck essentially for China. And could they use this to attack the United States, destabilize us so that we can't respond to our full capability to defend Taiwan, and then invade and take over Taiwan? And then you also have to look who will also help China in that instance. I've talked about this last episode of all the sleeper cells of terrorists that are in our country from terrorist groups like Hezbollah and Iran. Could they be coupled to where a Chinese cyber attack wipes everything out, the power out, and then the terrorist sleeper cells are activated, and then it's just a disaster. So this is not good for Taiwan to be in such a vulnerable state like this, because we're going to be attacked along with Taiwan, because we made it clear to China, stupidly, that we will blindly support Taiwan in a conflict if China invades. So if China decides to invade, like in a situation like this, which is the perfect opportunity for them to invade, will they also attack us so we can't support Taiwan to our full strength? I think it would be smart. The Chinese are not dumb. They will do the best route to succeed, and that route is to knock out the U.S. so that we can't help Taiwan. Taiwan, without our help, isn't going to put up much of a fight, especially in the state they are right now. No power or internet throughout most of the country. So this, on top of Iran potentially striking Israel, we have to be smart about how we can't just blindly send money. I mean, money is limited. Resources are limited. Military weapons are limited. So we have to be smart on how we go about this, which makes me think, if we anticipate a Chinese invasion on Taiwan, with like Taiwan being so vulnerable right now, will we not defend Israel to our full capability? Will we go halfway on helping Israel? Will we not go, we'll send them money, but if Iran attacks, I'm sorry, we can't afford to help you. Who knows? There's no telling what we'll do, but I would not be surprised if China takes this opportunity. I mean, this is a golden opportunity for them. There's actually been some conspiracy theories that China has technology to actually cause an earthquake like this. I'm not going to go down that route fully, but this is the golden opportunity for China to capitalize and invade Taiwan. The question is, what lengths will they go to also destabilize us so we can't fully help Taiwan in that case? So there's many moving pieces right now. It's not a good time for the U.S. for defending other interests like Ukraine and Israel and Taiwan. Because, like I said, if Iran launches a full-fledged war with Israel, Israel is going to need our help. But if China invades Taiwan, Taiwan's going to need our help. So this is why it's so stupid in the first place, and our leaders can't think ahead. Having invested interests in so many different other countries, those countries are going to work together like China and Russia to bankrupt us, essentially. I mean, that the war in the Ukraine has been a stalemate for so long. He's just driving money out of our pockets. And when China's going to use that to capitalize, whenever it does invade Taiwan, it can just be an easy layup for them. I mean, if we were smart, we can't afford to defend Taiwan. And we've tied ourselves with Taiwan. So now that whenever China invades Taiwan, guess what? We're getting attacked too. And it's stupid because we don't think ahead in those situations like that. We're going to be attacked along with Taiwan preemptively so that we can't help Taiwan. We can't send our military to help Taiwan. There will be an attack that destabilizes us to where we can't do that. So it'll be interesting to see how China goes about this. And it's all linked together, because if Iran launches an attack on Israel to where we have to go and help them, I wouldn't be surprised if shortly after China launches an attack on Taiwan, so that we have so many eggs in different baskets that we can't go and help Taiwan then. So everything is interlinked because we have so many different invested interests in countries other than ours for some reason. So things like this happen. We get put between a rock and a hard place where we have to decide what we defend. I would say, why do we have an invested interest in Taiwan? We can't afford to defend them, especially with how much money we've thrown out the window in Ukraine. It hasn't been nearly as bad in Israel, but Ukraine has bankrupted us drastically. The debt has gone up so much more than it needs to from the war in Ukraine. And like I said, when you have China and Russia uniting, they can do this together, where China's like, look, just bankrupt them as long as you can. Keep this war going on as long as you can, even though it's a stalemate, so you can help us. And eventually we'll take Taiwan, and then we'll knock them out too. And we'll both win from that. So this earthquake in Taiwan it's made Taiwan a sitting duck for China. And we'll see what happens. But China's already got 30 warplanes and 9 Navy vessels detected around Taiwan. after this earthquake, this is the golden layup for China to take over Taiwan. We'll see if they do it, and we'll see how we respond if they do it. I mean, we know it's going to happen eventually, that China is going to invade Taiwan. The question is, will they capitalize on this golden opportunity, or will they wait even longer? I wouldn't count on them waiting much longer.